Hello, everyone, Cage community, and everybody else watching this. Thank you in advance. I have some very special people that are here with us today. It's the BotDoc family. And so before we get started, we're going to talk about some great things today and talk about the industry and some FTC things. So you want to pay attention. If you're like me with things like this, when we have great conversations with great leaders, make sure you have your pen ready, your pencil, some paper, because I'm a big believer in note takers. And so be prepared to take some good notes, and then give us some feedback as well if you have any questions, comments, and then I'll make sure at the end of this show, you'll get some contact information from them. So if you'd want to reach out and talk to them, you definitely can. So without further ado, I'm going to start going around and introducing people. I'm actually the first person I'm going to talk to is Mika. I'll let her introduce herself. We've been longtime friends and associates way back in 2018, 2019, serving at a dealership together. I got to consult and train with her, and she was hands down one of the best leaders that I got the opportunity to serve with. So it's really cool how life has gone full circle to see how much she's evolved and be part of this great company that she's with, and then to see how much she's grown just herself professionally. It's really cool. So Mika, let us know who you are and how you got here.
Thank you, Duran. Thank you for those kind words. Definitely enjoyed working with you. Like you said, we go way back. So I am Mika Malone. I'm a sales associate with BotDoc. Before that, spent many years in the industry. Had the usual progression, right? I sold cars. Then I went on to be internet sales manager, then business development manager, and ended up ending my career being director of business development at my dealer group. So that is me in a nutshell, and I will pass it along.
All right, cool. And then next up, I want to make sure that I say his name right. It's Devon, if I'm saying it correctly.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us your role within the company.
Yeah. My name's Devon Young. I'm the internal sales lead and customer success manager here at BotDoc. So anything with the dealership after they've been onboarded, and if they have any questions, any feedback that they can give us so we can help improve the product and deliver just an overall great experience for them, I'm here to help.
All right, sounds good. And then last but certainly not least, we have Tracy. Tracy, you can take a second to introduce yourself and let us know who you are.
Of course, yeah. Tracy Fox, co-founder and chief revenue officer for BotDoc. Lifelong entrepreneur, first full venture into entrepreneurialism at the age of 7. I dug a hole in the backyard and built a nightcrawler farm. So that was my first official entrepreneurial adventure. I don't suggest that to just everyone. My mom had my hide for sure, but I sold night crawlers to all the fishermen in town on a regular basis, and it was a great success. So again, lifelong entrepreneur, love it. I actually sold my last company in 2015. I was sitting on a VC panel in 2017, and our original founder and CEO, Carl Falk, who couldn't make it today, he's traveling, but all the geeks in the room, as I call them, right, the techies, they said, hey, they started getting super excited. I'm not a tech guy. A lot of my background's in sports performance and in healthcare. And I said, why are you guys getting so excited? And they said, do you have any idea what that technology is capable of? And I said, no, tell me more. And the more they told me, I thought I need to talk to this guy from BotDoc. So long story short, Carl and I have been on a venture ever since.
That's awesome. Now I'm going to pivot just a second. When you say night crawlers, is that like crickets, or is it a worm?
Like worms. Yeah, like worms. Night crawlers, like worms. Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. I should have, yeah.
No. It's cool. I live in the country now, but I'm just trying to learn. And I was like, man, night crawlers, because I'm like thinking Avengers type stuff. Then I'm thinking, that's an interesting line of work, and starting at 7. So that's really cool. Thank you for sharing that. And so if some people that are listening to this or watching this right now are probably like, okay, what is BotDoc? Because when I first connected with Meek, I was like, okay. And I did some research and I was pretty floored. I was like, okay, this is some pretty important stuff. So I'm going to open it up to, and you can start off, Tracy, if you'd like, being that you're co-founder. what is BotDoc, and then how did BotDoc come together?
That's a great question, Duran. So we were building something completely different, actually. So after the crash of '08, several years after that, the mortgage default space and short sale and that whole industry was an absolute calamity, and that's a deplorable process, right? It takes months and months, and it's just. But we thought it should look like Rocket Mortgage and TurboTax. It should look like it's automated, because the process of the whole of getting that done is actually pretty quick. If you just did it in succession and actually got all the pieces put in place the way they should be put in place, but it would be expanded into months and months. Well, long story short, the lenders on this platform that we had built said, hey, we have a specific requirement of you guys. And we're like, okay, shoot away. They said, listen, we can't contact this person, right? This is the consumer that we need to collect things securely from, right? The PII from. They won't talk to us because we're suing them, obviously. They're losing their home. They won't answer a text, an email, phone call, and they're on Wi-Fi at McDonald's on their phone. And they said, how do we do security in that environment? And we laughed and we said, that can't be done. Well, we figured out how to do it. And as soon as we released it, the lenders called us and they said, listen, you know that button you push, it goes out and gets stuff and brings it back. It's actually working. We're getting stuff inside of hours and days, not weeks and months. And that's when we said, okay, what did we just do? And that's when we pivoted. So we created our SaaS-based tool in 2017. By the way, the original formation of the company is 2014, but we pivoted in 2017. I heard you say that pivot word earlier. SaaS-based tool, which is called BotDoc now. That's what we have. And then after that, it was 2017 was a very strenuous summer for probably more so for Carl. I was just kind of coming on board, but we were getting lots of requirements from all of these large enterprise companies. And they're like, hey, what about this? And what about that? Can you do this? Can you do that? And we were getting stressed out. We were like, what do we do? And then we thought about it. We're like, API bolted on or built into an existing system now as a force multiplier and allows the entire enterprise or the entire company to use the technology. So we built the API out in 2018. And we've been running ever since.
Wow. And so what would you say then in the auto industry is one of the biggest solutions that you solve with BotDoc?
Well, that's a great question. So it really starts, I'm not sure where to start with this, Duran, because I could start, and this is kind of a loaded question, because we've been in regulated industries for a long, long time. And so we understand what's really taking place, not only from the consumer's experience standpoint, but also from the security standpoint. At the end of the day, we're a cybersecurity company, but we have an efficiency play or an efficiency product, if you will, or process, if you will. So again, I would probably go back to what does auto need us for? And this kind of jumps into the FTC guidelines that you were talking about. Earlier before the call started, but it's that the 16 items that are on that list, right, for the FTC. And maybe we can jump into this now, or Duran, or you want to jump into it later?
Right into it, because I'm sitting here taking notes. I'm ready. So yes.
Yeah. So there's 16 guidelines that the FTC has, right? Everyone knows that these came out in the fall of 2021. They announced them. The original go live date or enforcement date was going to be December 9th of 22. And then knowing from the FTC and working in healthcare with HIPAA and lots of things in my past, I knew there would be a push, and sure enough, there was. They delayed it 6 months, and it took hold on June 9th of this year. So just a couple short months ago. But of those 16 things, right, they're all basically check boxes. They're things that someone at the dealership, a CIO, a CTO, right, a CISO, or whoever it is on the security side of the house, to take care of that, or as the FTC defines, your signer or your person, right, to vouch that you've checked these boxes. most of this stuff can be done from behind a screen. So you can, right, I can check the box for encrypted data, right, penetration tests, right, employee training and security updates and protocols, right, periodic assessments, etc. All this stuff is check boxes, but only one requires participation from the entire dealership. And it's number 4. It's encrypted data at rest, which isn't the one. It's the second part of this. It's only half of number 4, by the way. Encrypted data at rest with file vault or some other technology, right? We can encrypt data on our hard drive and on our local machines, etc. But it's the second portion of number 4, which is encrypted data in transit. So what is in transit? That is the PII that we get to and from the consumer, whether they come in for a test drive, whether they're coming in to purchase the car, it's in the F&I process, could be in any number of stages throughout the sales cycle of the vehicle. But it's that in transit piece. And the FTC says, yeah, that needs to be needs to come with end-to-end encryption, right? And it needs to be protected over external networks, right? So this includes our CRMs and our DMSs, you know, all of our platforms at the dealership. It's encrypted in their environment or inside the CRM or inside the DMS. But as soon as an email or text goes out of that system over external networks, we cannot be assured that that is, it's popping off of multiple servers. The consumer themselves, right, doesn't have encrypted email. So again, it's not encrypted on their end. And then they send it back to you in the same fashion. And it's bouncing off unsecured servers and making multiple copies of that PII. Digital footprints, right, as we like to call them here at BotDoc, poisonous breadcrumbs are left behind for, yeah, the bad actor to come picking up and follow your trail. So so that's the real niche that we're solving, is the data in transit, right? Encrypted data in transit, or PII in transit, that we're getting to and from the consumer. Could be B2C, could be B2B as well. But again, it's that in transit piece that has been really the tricky portion of all of these things, because it requires participation from all the employees at the dealership, and obviously requires some compliance from the consumer themselves to be able to engage with that technology. So,
wow. So it's almost kind of scary hearing you talk. I'm like, because if I'm a dealer, I really want to slow down and make sure that I'm protected, because, and a question that I ask is what happens, you know, because I'm thinking about the clients that I serve as well. So what happens if a dealer doesn't have the encryptions, or that they're not tightened up in these areas? And let's say they're just running loose right now. So there's not really any kind of CTO that they have, or anybody that's IT that's really dialed in. So if somebody's just kind of running just free, what are some issues that they could run into?
well, first and foremost, the fine, right, per incident is $50,120 from the FTC. Again, that's a maximum fine. And we always say, hey, what defines an incident? Well, an incident could be a breach, could be a lot of major things, could be that you don't have certain processes in place and other things. But the one we look at from that in transit piece is the PII itself. And that could be an image, right? A picture, a document, a tax return, a pay stub, a picture of a driver's license, you name it. Every single one of those pictures. And we've traveled, we've gone out, we've really sat down with dealerships. We sat with a well-known dealership out of Texas for almost a week, three or 4 days. And we just listened to them. And we were like, just tell us, right? And this is before all this took effect. This is last summer. And we were like, tell us where your challenges are here, and just learning. I mean, that was really a part of the process. And the more they told us, the more we knew that there was a significant impact that BotDoc could have, not just on the auto industry and the vertical, but on dealerships themselves. And so, so per incident, once again, what we found out from talking to these, we would ask them directly, hey, by the way, how many pictures of driver's license and pay stub, all of this, do you have on your phone? Some would say hundreds, and we had others that would say thousands. And I'm like, ooh, ouch. So take that number, could be thousands, right? Multiplied by that $50,120. Now multiply that by every single employee and every single dealership. Yeah, that's a big number. We would always kid and laugh when we would talk to dealerships because they're like, I promise your dealership won't take that out of your next paycheck. So anyway, yeah, super, super important stuff. And that ultimately, that's the impact. I've been around regulated industries for years, especially healthcare. I can tell you, nobody wants to write that check, and it's not a pretty process. And for those that are using CRM or DMS, and that email and that text out of their systems, that is not FTC compliant, unfortunately. And so that's one thing that needs to be established right away. Hey, text and email are no longer compliant with the FTC guidelines or safeguards. So starting from that ground, that place of that foundation, we kind of work forward with the dealerships to kind of work with them and some of them need to be educated, right? And the ones that are going, as you said, kind of willy-nilly, that are just out there, they don't have a fractional CISO, they don't have a signer, they don't have the person. Just know that and some of them are kind of slow to the party. Just know that the FTC has the right to go back to June 9th. And when they come in, they'll subpoena everything, text message records, email records, et cetera, et cetera. So, but they can go back they can retro that back to the inception date of June 9th, which is kind of a scary thought, right?
Oh yeah, it is. So when Mika and I were catching up and talking yesterday before we had this call today, I asked her about that texting and doing things outside on the cell phone. And you said a big part of something that I see that is a challenge for me as a consultant and a trainer to get across to certain sales professionals, because a lot of them, they want to do this, right? They want to use this because it's so much more convenient. It's so easy. And I tell them, I get it, but you want to protect not only the dealership, but also protect yourself. Because you just said, it's like, if a dealership runs into an issue here, the employee that's part of that, I don't think that they just kind of get a get out of jail free card. And so I'm glad that you brought clarification on that, because that's something that we see a lot. And so moving into the next thing is, could you tell us a little bit more about the company and really how it works? So if a dealer is thinking about, okay, I don't want to be, because if I'm a dealer right now, I'm listening to this, I'm like, okay, I want to make sure that I'm protected, that I'm good. How is it that BotDoc works with dealers? Like, how does that service work? Is it an application? Is it a software?
Yeah, great.
Walk us through that.
Yeah, we'll do that. I think Devon will take over your screen here. There you go.
Yeah.
Hijack your screen a little bit and jump in.
All right.
Yeah, for sure. So just before we dive into the demo, wanted to speak about some of other technologies, secure technologies that have been in regulated industries like banking and lending, and have been used for the last 2 or 3 decades. And this is kind of what their world has looked like, right? Some type of secure FTP or fax. Issue with that is, customers or your customers don't have a fax machine in their back pocket, right? Some type of secure email or your traditional portals, storage, and apps. And while all of these are doable and all of these have been used in other regulated industries for years, what they end up doing is creating friction in the process. And once you create friction, you will always have 2 guarantees. The first one being delays, and the second one being drop off from your customers. And imagine for your dealership, your customers want to, take a test drive on a Saturday afternoon, and they're going to go to a few different stores to, get the price that they want and get the car that they want. But imagine at each of these stores that they're met with the issues of having to create a secure email or having to download some type of app or use some type of portal or storage just to take a test drive, just to do business. And you can kind of see where this nightmare scenario begins of no one's going to do that. It's a very cumbersome process on the customer. And from a salesperson's perspective, They want to sell the car as quickly as possible. They want to get the deal done and go the path of least resistance. And the path of least resistance has always been text and email. So BotDoc, again, like I mentioned earlier, is leveraging technology to fit within the culture that's already been established of text and email, rather than, or we can go right into that live demo for you, Duran, and you'll be my test subject today. Hopefully that's okay. So just to kind of show you what this experience would look like for the customer and for the salesperson at the dealership. Duran, if you can give me a good mobile phone number from you.
It is 731-394-6907.
Awesome. So I'm going to shoot you a quick hi. Go ahead and shoot me a hi or hey back. This is just so the phones know that it's not spam coming your way. Awesome. So the normal scenario goes is I'm going to pretend to be the salesperson at the dealership, and you're a customer looking to buy a car for me today. And, you came in, you took a test drive, told me, hey, I'm going to go home, discuss this with my family, kind of those like normal case scenarios, or I'm going to go shop around, just see what's best for me. And I tell you, perfect, no worries. However you want to move forward, please let me know. And later that day, or maybe the next day, and Duran, I want you to tell me, what do you think the best message a potential customer can tell a salesperson?
I mean, I would probably say, when can I pick it up? Can I buy the car?
Yeah, I want right. I want to buy the car, right? I want to move forward. I want to buy the car. And me as a good salesperson and a good customer service person wants to get you qualified, right?
Yeah.
So that way, when you come into the dealership, paperwork's all ready to go. You can sign and drive off the lot. And normally, you're either sending that information through text or through email. But what BotDoc is doing differently is we took a specific piece of our technology, a personal URL link that is tied to each individual salesperson at each individual dealership, and programmed it into their phone as a short code or a shortcut. So all the salesperson has to remember is 3 simple letters, SMD for send me documents. And you can see when I hit space, that personal URL link pops up, along with a pre-canned message that you can put in there. A lot of the dealerships that we're working with are using this for a nice marketing opportunity, and kind of what you had talked about earlier, Duran, just companies and dealerships willing to separate themselves from, just letting their customers know, hey, we care about the privacy and security of your data. We're taking the safeguard rules seriously. And man, anyone who has ever had their identity stolen is going to value and appreciate this immensely. So I go ahead and hit send. I let you know, Adrian, click on the link. And normally the salesperson does not need to click on the link, but just so everyone can see the screen, that can see the screen and can see the customer's experience, I'm going to click on the link as well. So Duran, once you click on that, what opens up is a secure encrypted AES 256-bit TLS ad hoc session. Really all of that to say that, it's FTC compliant. And my screen, guys, is going to look a little different just because I do demos all the time. But Duran, on your screen, it's essentially just going to ask for your first and last name in that paragraph. So go ahead and type in your name where it says write a message for me at the bottom, and let me know once you finish that step. All good?
So so I typed in my name,
Mm-hmm.
and then it says, thank you for providing your name. Please take the link below to upload your documents.
Yeah. So you'll see that box that pops up, right? We like to think about our technology like shipping. So just imagine that this is a general collection box that you're gonna put your driver's license into, your W-2, your pay stub, whatever the dealership needs from you to get you qualified. There's that box that is available for you, and a blue upload button that you're prompted to hit. So go ahead and walk through that process. From there, there's a add files button, click on that, and you'll see a few different options: photo library, choose files, which is essentially like your iCloud or your Dropbox. But I want you to select the option that says take a photo or video, and I'll explain here why in a second. So you can take a photo of the screen, of your keyboard, of your shoe. It really doesn't matter, but for all intents and purposes, this is your driver's license, right?
Okay.
And once you walk through that, the blue bar will turn green, letting you know that the item is encrypted, and then you're prompted to hit that blue send button. So let me know once you finish that step.
Done.
Awesome. So then you'll notice you're dropped back into the same encrypted session, right? And another collection box becomes available. So we've actually have automated this workflow process to where there's always a collection box available for the customers, so they never have to wait on the salesperson, never have to wait on the dealership to upload their documents. Maybe they forgot, I don't know, page 3 of their bank statement or whatever it might be. Collection box will always be available for them. So if you look on my screen here now on the left-hand side, this is the BotDoc SaaS-based tool that Tracy was mentioning earlier, the one that thousands of dealerships are onboarding. We go over to the P2 Conversations tab, and this is where we're able to view all of the deals that particular salesperson or that sales manager has going on. So you can see that, Duran, you had completed your file upload here. We go ahead and click on your deal to view that information that you had sent over. And we can view that image right here. See the little 3 dots. We click on that, and we give the dealership the availability to download this item in its original format. You can download it as a PDF. One of many reasons why we did this is because of the Apple imaging format, the HEIC, and the conversion over to Windows is wonky. It's weird for whatever reason. So we just made it easy for you guys to be able to download that as a PDF. We can also preview the item. So we'll preview what you sent over, that keyboard, right? Super secretive keyboard. But again, for all intents and purposes, that's your driver's license, right? And something very important, Duran, that I want to point out to you and is what just took place between you, the customer, and the dealership here on the left was end-to-end encryption and 100% FTC compliance. And I always like to ask a few questions, Duran. You didn't need to enter, or you didn't need to download any software or apps to do business with the dealership today, right?
Not at all. Pretty slick.
Yeah. You didn't need to enter any PINs or passwords or log into some system that you've never used before. And let's be honest, you may never use again, right? Furthermore, on your phone, Duran, and you guys everyone can see on my phone, there's now a green view button that we had completed our file upload into. So we're gonna go ahead and click on that green view button to try to view the image that we had just took, right? Well, we can't. I'm trying to click on it. All that pulls up is a JPEG wireframe. So this actually becomes a severed endpoint. As soon as you hit send, these boxes or each of these individual transactions actually serve a singular purpose of delivering it back into the system. And here on the left, so again, severed endpoint, very important from a security standpoint. If you guys, any IT folks that are listening to this, are going to love this because they don't have to manage all those endpoints, all those access points, or set permissions. So yeah, very important from a security standpoint. Furthermore, if we were to go into our photo camera history as well to try to view that image, it's not going to reside there. This is because BotDoc isn't leaving behind any poisonous breadcrumbs for a hack or a threat point later on down the road. So thirdly, and most importantly, is that image only resides in one place in the entire world. It's not on your phone, Duran, as the customer. It's not on my phone as the salesperson, right? All I get as the salesperson is a text message that says, hey, Duran has completed his file upload via BotDoc. So the PII, the MPI actually bypasses the salesperson's personal device and ends up right here at the dealership in the BotDoc system, ready to download to whatever final system of record that the dealership currently has in place, whether that's paper copies or some type of digital file folder system. Maybe they're putting it into the CRM as the final resting spot, wherever they need it to go. The document, the data resides in the BotDoc system for 14 days. And then after 14 days, it's chalked up to be overwritten and deleted from our servers and from our system forever. So we're not a long-term storage repository, right? The dealership doesn't want us to have long-term liability of that data, nor do we, want to hang on to it. And this is a big reason why our customers call us the secure FedEx of data, right? When you think about it in the same sense that FedEx picks up a package from point A, they drop it off at your doorstep at point B. They don't care what's inside the package or what you do with it, but what they do hang on to is that long tracking number, right? Well, BotDoc's essentially doing the same thing in the digital world. We know when things are clicked on, uploaded, downloaded, geographical location, IP address, lat long, all of the metadata is made available forever. So let's say 10 years down the road, you wanted to see the tracking information from July 26th of 2023. Well, that would be made available for the dealership. You can turn it into an Excel spreadsheet, print it off, use it however you need to. Auditors and examiners love this functionality. Very important from a security standpoint. We've actually had some of our banking clients use this metadata in the court of law before. So a very powerful tool. And this is the collection aspect, the pull in our language, but the ability to request files from the customer. And Duran, just want to take a second to see if you have any questions so far.
No, I just know that I'm never gonna give anybody my information again unless they do it this way. Like this is, I went back to look on my phone to see if the pictures that I took were in there, and it's gone. And I'm like, I love that, because if some people are like me, I delete driver's license pics, like when you send that to somebody, like I'll go back and delete that. And now I'm like, man, you guys need to step your game up. Like I should never have to do this again. So I think that's really cool.
Yeah, 100%. So I was recently, just a side note, I was recently moving my 401k over, and I'm not going to name the large provider, but they were having me, they wanted me to, they sent me a form to fill out and had a lot of personal information. And then they just wanted me to email it back to them. And I was just like, wow, you guys are a billion-dollar corporation and you're doing things not legal. So it was, I'm trying to get in contact with their higher ups to see if they need BotDoc, to say the least. But so it's just something, a fundamental mind shift of like, hey, this is, we need secure ways to send our personal information over to people. And this is how hackers steal information. It's that man in the middle where they're able to, get something in transit. If the email is, sent in transit, being able to grab that. So side note there, but just to continue along with the demo, some of the other functionality that we've built in is because as we were listening, gathering feedback from dealerships, they had mentioned that, some of them have a higher turnover rate when it comes to their salespeople. And I think industry standard is like 50% turnover rate within a year. So found that best practice was to not allow back-end access to the BotDoc platform or logins to the BotDoc platform, and just so they wouldn't be able to see that. So some of the functionality that we built in is queues. So queues essentially acts as a team or a pooled amount of information and people within that specific queue. So a lot of the dealerships are labeling Q1 as new car sales, or Q2 as used car sales, Q3 as service side, Q4 as F&I side. However, that dealership wants this customized. Our onboarding team does a fantastic job of being able to make those customization work for them and just make the process more seamless. So the other functionality that we built in is remote users. So remote users is essentially what could act as a salesperson if you didn't want them to have a login or backend access to the system. So the remote user still receives the SMD code that I showed you earlier. But again, no login to the backend. So for example, let's say I'm a sales manager and Cody Thomas comes in, he's a sales associate. He says, hey, we got a hot one. They're ready to move forward. Well, me as a sales manager, I can filter by my remote users, find Cody's name, hit apply. And now I can view all of Cody, the salesperson's deals that he has going on. So I can grab that customer's information and move it into the next step of the process, that F&I side, to get them qualified or whatever it might be. So that's the remote users and queues aspect. Any questions there, Duran?
No, but one thing I will bring up again. So this can be integrated, correct? So you have the API that's integrated. I think we talked about that earlier with some of the either digital retailing companies or CRMs. Is that correct?
Yeah, we are.
Yeah,
if Tracy, you want to speak
awesome.
to it more?
Yeah, we do have integrations into into eLeads at CDK, and we're talking with all of the others. Some discussions deeper than others, but we're talking to all of them. So yeah, that's a great point. Thanks, Duran.
Yeah, that's good.
Because that's the real power of the technology. Imagine even in the SaaS-based tool, right? What Devon did earlier, he says, yeah, I pull that picture up and I drag and drop it, put it over into the final system of record, which is the CRM or the DMS or F&I platform or whatever it is. But imagine this being inside that system and literally the BotDoc button, right? Goes out, grabs it, and it comes right back into the system just like this. So very powerful.
Yeah. So some other capabilities that we've built in over the years. One of them being the ability to send out documents, or in our language, a push. So the use cases that we've seen within the automotive industry, right? Maybe like the deal jacket or the final documents. Currently, people or dealerships are using like paper copies or maybe like some type of thumb drive. Well, being able to send this deal jacket or these final documents to the customer electronically through this encrypted session is a possibility. And one of the dealership groups that we're working with, they were using thumb drives, and they were more of a higher volume. They're more of a higher volume dealership, and at $3 a thumb drive, they were spending tens of thousands of dollars. And they realized that being able to send their final documents, their deal jackets, their customers through this session, this encrypted session, is actually saving them more money in what they're paying for the BotDoc platform than what it was costing them for thumb drives. So just another cost-effective strategy. Also, right around tax time, there are customers that lose their thumb drives or lose their final documents, and they're requesting more from the dealership, more documents from the dealership, and dealership ends up having to like overnight that, FedEx that out, spend $100 doing that. And just again, being able to do that through this encrypted session is another capability. So we'll just walk through this. Maybe it's the deal jacket per se. And actually, I'm just going to do it on mine. That way everyone can see it on the screen. Duran, hopefully that's okay. Sorry, Wi-Fi is a little slow today.
You're good. I can see it. Everything's coming through.
Perfect. So we'll just name this deal jacket. And again, this push, or the ability to send out documents, super easy as drag and drop from your digital file folder system, or click to upload that deal jacket. I'm just sending an about BotDoc flyer, becomes encrypted, and then we can send out that box to the customer. So then if you guys see my phone here on the right-hand side, I receive that deal jacket and I can then download it. So we make the document available for 14 days or 10 downloads, whatever comes first. So you'll see some of the metadata happening on the back end when I hit download. So this went from 10 available downloads to 1 downloaded and 9 remaining. So we make it available for 10 downloads, can be customized, of course, but this is just so the customer needs to put this on their desktop, or maybe they need to move it to their iCloud or wherever they need it to go, and make it available for 10 downloads. So that's the ability to send out documents. Any questions on that end, Duran?
No, I'm amazed at how simple it is. And then obviously on my side, on the user end, it's really, really simple. So I think simple is great. That's good.
Yeah, for sure. Well,
I
some of
think
the
you'll like this
oh,
next feature, by the
Yeah.
way, Duran, the e-signing piece. A lot of our dealerships and the DMSs now are saying, wow, if we could expedite and use this inside of our service department, that'd be super powerful. And that's with signatures, right?
Mhm.
So whether it's loaner cars, right, lease, warranty work is the big one. They need the signature to get their money from the OEMs, right? So again, go ahead, Devon.
Yeah. So rather than build in our own e-sign technology, we're actually delivering the experience of DocuSign, Adobe Sign, eSign Live, and many others, because we've modularized the back end of our technology to be able to accept this. So Tracy had spoke to those use cases there on the service side. So, maybe it is some type of agreements that we need, right? And again, these are not our templates. These are actually, I might need to put in my email real fast. Again, these are not our templates, they're DocuSign templates. So however your DocuSign account or your Adobe Sign account functions normally, the experience would be delivering it through the BotDoc encrypted session. So we'll just grab that template, hit select the particular participants, hit send and submit. And then that box is then sent over to the customer. You can see here on my phone on the right hand side that agreement, and we'll walk through this experience. The UX or the user experience will look very familiar if anyone's ever used DocuSign before. A document is available, gives us the ability to sign, and then hit finish. And then as soon as we hit finish, that document is a copy of that document sent back into the BotDoc session here on the left-hand side, as well as a copy would be sent to the business or the dealership's DocuSign or Adobe Sign account as well. Yeah. So we can also, with that, the DocuSign, another powerful tool, and I'll move back over to you, Duran, is the ability to add participants within this same encrypted session. So maybe it is, a co-buyer or a co-signer on the loan. So being able to add a third-party person into the same encrypted session is a capability as well. So I'll just go ahead and add myself into your encrypted session, Duran, just because my name's already here in our contacts. And then everyone will see on my phone here on the right-hand side, I receive a text message with that personal link to enter into the same encrypted session that Duran's in. There is a point for two-step authentication as well. So because it is a real ad hoc technology, we can turn that on and off really at any point, but we'll just leave it on, walk through this. And now I'm in the same encrypted session that you're in, Duran. Again, I don't have access to your documents, the ones that you had uploaded earlier, right? I'm trying to click on that image that you took. Well, I can't, right? But we can, I'll just message in here, or I can upload my documents, whatever it might be. Right. I'm that third party that needed to send in my driver's license or my W-2, whatever the dealership needed to, for me to be that co-buyer on the loan or on the car. So, and because it is a real ad hoc technology, we can add as many participants as we like. We can remove as many participants as we like. So I'll go ahead and remove myself. Maybe I'm not needed for the next step of the process with the dealership. So you can see I removed myself, and no matter how many times I hit that backspace button to try to get in, I am no longer available into this session.
Wow.
So, yeah.
So
Go for it, Tracy.
I was going to say one thing that I was just going to kind of wrap up maybe. So one thing that Devon did not mention that is available, and we don't put it in the demo platform here just because nobody really wants to, just to experience the technology to send us their license, right? Their driver's license. But we do have ID proofing built in. So again, not ours. We've modularized the back end. Acuant is the main company that we use. We can use others as well. Again, we're modularized on the back end to be able to integrate that. But again, what it does is it allows us to take a picture, OCR the license, auto-populate, right? Auto-populate the data back into the system of record here, and all the fields as well, and then gives us a pass or fail. So you know that message that Devon got earlier, Duran, that you had sent your items over, that would say pass or fail right below that, if we were using that portion of the technology. And there's some other things down the road, as you can imagine. Live video, probably not a must-have in the auto space, but maybe a nice to have. Maybe for, you know, walking underneath the car or whatever, doing live video, showing people something, you know, live and encrypted. Again, it might be a potential use case. And then payments. Payments is a big one, right? Whether it's ACH, debit, credit, you know, app-based, you know, Venmo, PayPal, Stripe, doesn't matter. Again, being able to take coming in, getting a signature on your car, getting a loaner or lease or something like that. And then also, hey, it's going to be $826 for your work today on your car, and being able to collect that payment in the same fashion is a super powerful proposition, value prop, obviously, to the consumer. Kind of going back to that total experience that we talked about earlier, Duran.
If I'm an F&I, I don't know how I would operate without something like this. You know, I'd imagine something like this would be like an F&I manager's dream come true, because I'm going back to my old retail days. I'm scared of like how we were operating, because it was near as thorough as what you just showed. But I'm just thinking about the way that you can move with speed. Like I see time, like there's a lot of time savings in what you just showed me, because I'd imagine if you're not using something like this for my salespeople and my F&I people, it's got to be a lot of scanning, documenting, emailing, doing all these things when, and obviously that's not secure, but having something like this and where it's coming right to somebody's phone, that's sharp. So that was amazing.
No, that's why.
Duran, how many conversations? Oh, sorry, Tracy.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to tell Duran, and how many conversations did we overhear and did we have with our F&I managers when we had to chase down steps, right? Hey, call your customer. We need X, Y, and Z. With the beautiful thing with BotDoc is everything is right there for access, and you get a notification when it arrives. So there is no chasing down anymore.
You're hitting it on the head. We were kind of born in financial, and that for financial for us is banking, lending, financial advisory, mortgages and loans. I mean, that pre-app process, and then that trailing document or underwriting process, right? And that's it. And we had one bank. This is the record: 8 different technologies or tools in order to procure the loan. So, hey, I need to collect these things from you. Come set up a secure email account. Okay. Hey, now I'm going to have you sign something. You're going to get a separate email over here to do this. Hey, now I'm going to do this. Log into our portal and set up an account over there and do this or download that. Again, 8 different tools, one of our banks. And I was like, I almost fell out of my chair that day. But that's the record. If anybody can beat that, they are the most friction-filled. They're the most friction-filled company I've been engaged to date. So,
Wow.
but with that said, just kind of going back to where the perfect storm is really residing. We really have this place, and I don't want to make it all about BotDoc, but I mean, everyone's talking about the total experience. Are you finding that as a consultant, right, in the space, right? It's not just about the user experience. It's not just about the employee experience or the customer experience or the multi-experience. It's about all of these things combined, working together for the total experience. And I think that's where it's going. Just to give maybe a little bit of context, there's a couple of studies that were done, and I'm going to talk about 2 things. I want to talk about the consumer experience, or that total experience where the consumer experience fits in, right? And the demand that's coming from the consumer these days, and then talk a little bit about cyber crime, and then talk about how there's this converging perfect storm kind of taking place, if you will. So again, the consumer experience, everyone's craving it. A study from Gartner said that 89% of companies, 89% are competing primarily on the customer experience. So they're putting that ahead of the price and sometimes even the product itself. But here's the conundrum. Bain went on to do a study that said 80% of these companies believed that they were delivering this super awesome, wonderful, over-the-top experience. But guess what percentage of their customers actually agree with that statement? Any guess? Have you maybe you saw this study? I don't know.
I would guess maybe 20% if I were to guess.
Not even that. 8%, single digits. So 80% of companies, right? 8% of customers. So there's a 72% disconnect between what the company feels like they're delivering and what the consumer is actually experiencing on the other end. So we throw in cybercrime, and this is that other piece, and then I'll get to a little bit more about BotDoc. But part of this consumer experience, or this total experience, is the dealers now protecting the PII of the consumer, right? And this is something that is overlooked, but cybercrime is at an all-time high. And there's McKinsey says this in company. They said that by the end of 25, that globally, it'll cost over $10.5 trillion by the end of 2025. So I could throw numbers at you all day long, but this is the one. It's not even a number, Duran, but it's a statement, and it's proven out in a study. But cybercrime now is more profitable than all of the illegal drug trade combined globally. So think about that. That is a massive number. And so we kind of laugh. Devon's probably got a smile on his face right about now, because we look at this and we're like, hey, Cuban drug lords are diversifying, right? They're opening up a few hack farms, right? And less bullets, more people live, and a lot safer, right? Wow. So again, it's kind of this perfect storm. So we actually look at it like a child seesaw. So security on one side and convenience on the other. And as security measures are driven up and continue to be driven up, convenience factors are driven down. And then everyone kind of laughs at this when we're on the phone with them, especially if we have security and ops on the phone at the same time. Because the security side of the house says, hey, listen, it's my butt if we get breached. But the operational side of the house says, hey, listen, I get it, but if you make it any harder to do business, we're not going to have customers to do business with. So here's what we see happen. Operations always wins, right? We need customers. And employees are finding unsecure technical workarounds. Think about even in the auto industry, Duran, if you're going to go out for a test drive, right? And this is where the perfect storm is really coming together. And I don't think the auto industry, just for the record, the auto industry has not experienced this seesaw effect yet, because they haven't lived in this FTC compliant zone now for that long, right? They're now being regulated, and they haven't lived in it that long, but they'll see it coming. So again, and Devon and I always say, it's like, and Miko is getting used to this term now. It's like, we don't look at salespeople as lazy. We just say they're efficient, because if there's a stumbling block, if there's a roadblock, what are they going to do? They're going to go around it, right? They're going to find an unsecure technical workaround. They're going to go back to that phone you just showed me, Duran, earlier, and you're going to resort back to the thing they used to know, and they're going to use that in order to collect that drive. Again, every single one of those pictures, $50,120. So again, the seesaw effect, operations wins because they need, we needed to have customers, right? We got to do business. Oh, hey, I know you hit the reset password button 3 times on our secure email. Hey, just text it to me this one time, right? Or hey, I know you, as Devon likes to say, hey, customers aren't running around with a fax in their back pocket, right? Some people listening to this probably don't know what a fax is. Again, hey, I know you don't have a scanner or a fax, this or that. Hey, just send that to me on normal unsecured email this time. Just shoot it to me. Okay, hey, we'll figure it out later, right? We just need to get the deal done. Again, there's a whole slew of these types of cases where operations is just saying, hey, we has to be convenient. We just need to get it to you, and they resort back. And so again, we at BotDoc, we always say, hey, we broke the seesaw. So we're delivering the highest levels of convenience, but also delivering the highest levels of security as well with what we're doing. So yeah, that's the perfect storm. And I know I've been talking a lot, and I could jump into more BotDoc, but yeah, I mean, it's this perfect storm where, hey, how do we get right that in transit piece of the FTC, make it totally convenient and completely secure, and be 100% FTC compliant? And that's what we figured out.
Wow. And I'll ask Mika or Devon, anything that you guys want to add to, or any takeaways to that before I kind of bring this home. And there's a couple things that have spurred my thoughts just by listening to this, but I wanted to make sure I open it up to you too as well.
Yeah, I'll definitely go. As I myself am talking to dealers now, and I was there, as a salesperson, as a manager at a dealership, the status quo aspect is what's hard to let go of. And listening to Tracy hit on such good points. When I first heard this conversation, like we talked about, Duran, I immediately went into panic mode, and I'm not even at the dealer level anymore, because I know that, it's either not taken seriously, or a good hard look at sales processes is really not being looked at. So it is my hope today for your listeners, and if anyone from my old dealer groups are listening too, just listen to what we have to say, and I think you'll learn a lot. It's very necessary information.
I agree. Devon, anything?
Yeah, kind of to touch on that. When dealerships are looking at solutions to put something in place, it has to be easier than what your customer or what your salespeople are currently using. Right? If you just throw something in there, slap a band-aid over, whether it's secure email or some type of app that your salesperson's never used before, well, again, they're just going to go back to the path of least resistance, and the path of least resistance has always been text and email. And man, BotDoc is just leveraging technology to fit within the culture that's already been established of text and email.
Yeah, that's strong. One of my key takeaways here that I hope the listeners, and especially the clients that are connected with me, is because I do talk a lot about experience. So Tracy, you're right. Like, that is a big buzzword. And you even connected the two that I do, because I don't believe you can have a consumer experience without having a phenomenal employee experience. Like, they're so disconnected if we're talking about customers all day long, but we can't offer a great experience to our own employees that work there. But I like that disconnect that you showed, because there's a recent study, even just in the auto side, it said the same thing, where dealers, we feel that we're over delivering on the experience, but consumers, they're not really feeling that. But what I heard that I think would be crucial is even almost part of your marketing strategy, or when we're reaching out to customers, letting them know that doing business with you online, they are protected, right? That you're going to be okay doing business with us, however you want to do it, and know that it's going to be safe and secure. I've got to admit that I hadn't even talked to my dealers about using that kind of messaging in their outreach, because if I'm a consumer and I put that hat on, if somebody sent me a message and said, hey, just so you know, doing business with us is secure and it's easy, and we're going to give you the best experience possible, because that is important to keep your information protected, that would make that dealer stand out compared to the rest, so I know it's a different angle of what we're talking about here from a security standpoint, but I was like, wow, that's super important, because when I think of some of the best run companies out there, they do a really good job of telling you how much secure that their encryptions, all that stuff, there will be something that lets you know how easy and convenient it is. So I thought this was perfect timing, because I'm always looking for ways for dealers to kind of separate themselves a little bit, because it's not about the competition, it's about the delivery that they have, and this was huge. And so Tracy and all of you, all three of you, Mika and Devon, I thank you so much for this, and I think it was great. And any other feedback that you guys have is great. And then I'd like for you guys to let everybody know how they can get in touch with you if they would like to go ahead and learn a little bit more about your services and see if it would be a good fit for them.
Yeah. No, thanks for that, Duran. I love your the consumer experience mindset that you have, because like I said earlier, we're in this demand revolution, right? I think Amazon's probably the best example, right? Well, I'll spend a few extra bucks knowing I'll get it tomorrow, the next day, right? And not have to run around to 5 different stores and maybe find what I need. So at the end of the day, what is Amazon selling? They're not selling products. They're actually selling you time back in your day, back in your life, back in your week. So again, they've made it ridiculously easy, right, to consume products, and it shows. And I think I think COVID accelerated that. We work in the financial space heavily and banking as well, and you saw it. Like, nobody could come into the bank, nobody could come into a branch or into the financial institute or any physical, right? So everything had to be done remotely. And I don't know, and you've probably heard some of these numbers, but I think the digital transformation journey probably got an upgrade or an acceleration of about 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
And I think that's why we're seeing such a boom as well of AI. AI needed digital to catch up in order for AI to actually have the delivery impact that it could have. So digital accelerated during COVID, and now we're seeing 2 years later, AI is coming in and delivering into some of those same kind of omni-channel, if you will, experiences that are taking place. And I said it in 2020, as soon as right after Zoom went from 10 million meetings a day to 200 million meetings a day the following month to 300 million a day 2 months later. I was like, I can't even imagine the scale of that. But when that was taking place, that first 2 months of COVID, I said, you watch what's going to happen. We are going to see an explosion of automated workflow management tools and technology over the next 5 to 10 years. We're going to get an upgrade and an acceleration like we haven't seen before. So, and I think we're seeing that now for sure.
100%. Yes, sir. So what would be the best way? What's the website? If there's an email, what would be the best way for everybody to connect after watching this?
Yeah, great question. So I think you can just do sales. You could do myself, you could do Devon, but probably the best way is just sales at botdoc.io, not .com, but .io. So yeah, I think that's probably the quickest way and the easiest way for sure.
And I'll make sure when this is on, I'm sure I'll have it listed right there so people can easily see it. And then obviously in the descriptions and the comments. And so, but I'm excited. I think this is great. I'm excited for my clients to learn more about this as well. And I cannot thank all of you enough for your time, because this is one of the first ones. This is the first time I've really done anything like this, because I've had a lot of people hit me back on, are you going to do a podcast or do a show? And I'm like, I'll call it a show or an experience, but I don't know if I can call it a podcast, because that needs to be a little bit more regimented. And I'm sure just like all of you, we're pulled in a lot of different directions right now. And so I want to make sure that my clients are getting taken care of, number one, before I pump out a bunch of content on a podcast. So I thank you all so much for your time and sharing it with us.
Thank you so much, Duran, for having us on. Really appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Duran.
All right. There we go. I'm mind blown. I'm gonna be honest. It brings everything, our whole conversation just came complete and full circle. And I'm so thankful that you showed that, because I think it would have left a little bit of gray space, like the overall, how does this work? And then now seeing that, if I'm a dealer or I'm an operator or somebody, I'm trying to think, how do you even operate if you don't have something like that? So if you don't do this, I think the big thing here is that we would definitely need to button it up to make sure that it's much more secure for both parties, and to make sure that it's seamless. And so it's kind of like you with BotDoc, what I like, it's kind of like created that experience with security and safety at the same time, because everything that Devon showed me was super easy. And I've never done that before this. That was the first time I'd even seen this myself. So if anybody's like, oh, well, That's the first time I saw that, and that was probably one of the coolest things I've been a part of. So I thank you all for that.
Hey, well, thank you. Thanks for having us on, Duran. This was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it.
Absolutely. Well, thank you all. And I'm sure this won't be the last time we speak. And then as we had earlier, I'll probably cut this part out, but I'll make sure that it ends with the contact information, the website address, and email like before. So
Yeah,
I'll go ahead and
excellent.
stop the recording here. There we go.